Canvas organized by REVA Nest and School of Computer Science and Technology in association with IIC. So today we have our resource person, Mr. Deepak Sonthalia. He is a co-founder of BLIV Spaces Private Limited. He has 15 years of experience in business management across various functions, and he has worked as an independent consultant, uh, helping out to set up regional business operations for rapidly growing startups. I welcome you all, and I'll welcome you, sir. You can take over the session.
Thank you, ma'am, for the quick introduction.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are in best of health. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Sorry, I lost your name, ma'am.
Grishma. You're audible, sir.
Sorry. Once again.
Grishma.
Grishma. Yeah. So, ma'am, I would like the session to be mostly interactive. I do not want the audience to just sit back and listen to me. That's not the idea. I think there need to be participative in this. I hope the audience is up for that.
Yes, sure, sir.
So can someone from the audience volunteer to basically help me, to make this interactive?
1 second, sir.
Any one of the student can actually volunteer. Somebody who is interested can raise their hand. And you can grant the access. So these all are engineering students?
Yes, sir.
And may I know how many of them are there?
Now we have almost 15.
15.
Yeah.
Is somebody volunteering to?
Yeah, actually, they are joining, sir. Okay.
So we don't mind waiting for a bit if you think.
Yeah,
people are
they are
yet to
joining.
Shall we wait for some time?
Sir, you can start the session.
Okay, so and nobody is volunteering, looks like.
Sir, there are 18 participants. They will interact, sir. Please continue, sir.
So let's carry on. So the guys, this is a session on model canvas. So I would love to understand what your thoughts are in terms of a model canvas. What comes to your mind if when someone is talking about a business or a startup? Ma'am, that's exactly what I said. If it is not interactive, I don't want to be into a monologue. It will not serve any purpose.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I am Dr. Tyagarajan. I feel for a starter,
Yeah.
what will be his input output efficiency of workers, and you would like to see what will be the return on investment for him, whether he is able to stand with the competition by using a blue ocean strategy. These are his it includes his vision, mission, what will be his goal, and then how he will be able to achieve those things by means of a proper planning. Indirectly, it will be something like a business plan for him to have some sort of a model where he could reach faster, and so that he could become unicorn, within a framework of 5 to 6 years time. So that is what I feel as a business model.
Thanks for volunteering, Mr. Tyagarajan. You are bang on in terms of what an expectation out of a startup in terms of presenting it on one pager, comes through. So in general, I'll just reiterate few of the points that you mentioned. You mentioned about vision, mission, the input, the output, the ROI, the plan. All right. So ideally a business canvas, the way I have been preparing a business canvas for a few startups that I have been part of and the one that I'm running right now, we try to capture the ethos of the entire business onto one page, or maybe a couple of pages for that matter, but ideally in a one single pager. We call it a lean canvas. The idea to define it as a lean canvas is that people are pretty busy in their life. We have a couple of minutes to impress either the investors or the audience or whoever. So there are various stakeholders in a business, and for you to align somebody to your business, you need to make a first impression perfect. So ideally, a lean canvas actually helps us do that. So the idea is to, the concept of canvas is basically, created to ensure that we capture the point that you mentioned and a few other points as well, cover it in one snapshot so that for the reader, it becomes very easy to comprehend what is the business all about, what does it do, who are their customers, how is it going to monetize, what kind of return on investment is it likely to generate, what's the approach, what's the strategy, and where does it look, where is it likely to be in a few years down the line, who are the people behind it. These are some of the areas or some of the points that get captured on a canvas. So I take the liberty to show a canvas for our business model, the business that I am running currently. So this canvas I used for my first round of investment. With due permission from everybody else, may I show this up?
Deepak sir, also
Yes, sir.
we should have an ecosystem and a feasibility and a technical feasibility report before we go for funding. The ecosystem of the startup is more important, so that we could have a control over the ecosystem.
So, see, ecosystem is one piece, in terms of technical feasibility and other aspects, they also do come in later. But first thing is to create an interest.
Sir.
The first thing is, if you are doing a particular business and if you are reaching out to a certain person, a certain person either in government or a funder, he has to essentially like your concept.
Correct.
He has to first say that, yes, I am willing to go deeper. I am willing to deep dive. I'm willing to hear you more. I'm willing to know more about this, isn't it? And for that, we can't give him a whole lot of information which is not required at that stage. See, many of this information are also very confidential. Unless you see that there is a specific interest somewhere.
I said it is for our use. It is for our use. You said you have prepared a canvas, not for circulation, maybe for our control purpose.
No, the canvas.
Thank you. Sir, thank you very much, sir. What you have given, I was able to understand and differentiate between a canvas and then what exactly we want to do. Thank you, Deepak, sir.
So, shall we move to the canvas that I had prepared?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I'll just show it up. So I'll show a part of a Google spreadsheet. And 1 second. Yes. So we run a company called BLIV, and BLIV is into blue collar segment. So we are a digital life partner for blue collar segment. Now, when we had started off, there was a certain pilot projects and all we wanted to run, and the scope in which our business started was very limited. For the limited scope that we started with, we designed a canvas to first kind of bring together key salient points of what our business is supposed to be, what problem is it solving, etc. and all that. So I'll just take you through some of the stuff that we did. So we divided the canvas into multiple folds. We defined a problem statement. We defined a solution to that. So if you look at the problem, you guys can see it, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes.
So we defined the problem statement as, there are underprivileged people, there are workers, especially migrants who move into multiple cities like Bangalore or metro cities largely, or larger cities for that matter, who find it very difficult to find an accommodation. They generally have a challenge in terms of paying security deposit, etc. and all. So we highlighted this as a problem statement, mentioned that what are the challenges that are currently there in the market for this set of customers, for this set of people. So whether it is limited rental options or whether it is the challenges in terms of deposits or whether any availability of any other platform in that. Against that, we offered something, we highlighted something what our solution is. So our solution was offering of sleeping pods, which are economical, closer to work, which are hygienic, and which has basic services that meets the requirement of these workers. So then we defined something called a value proposition. So I'm not going to go into the detail reading out what we have defined. So if you guys can actually have a look, I can take you through in detail in terms of specifying what are the areas that we covered in this. So one is problem, second is solution. Then we define what is the impact that we are likely to create with this business model. What exactly is our value proposition? Which segment, how we are going to scale up, how we are going to approach it. All of that got covered in value segment and impact. We defined key metrics in terms of the numbers. What would we be in 3 years time frame? What our operating margins would look like? And what our in general capex cost would run around. We define what kind of a customer segment that we are going to address. As you can see, since our business was meant for blue collar migrants and the customer segment primarily comprised of security guards, housekeepers, delivery boys, etc. and all that. Then we highlighted what is the market size in the country. So as you see, there are roughly around 120 million people who migrate and work and have a requirement for staying somewhere. So we created we outlined what's the market size in that. What is the method that we are likely to adopt in terms of go to market? So one key aspect in any canvas would be how you are approaching that particular problem in terms of sales. What are you going to do? So that is particularly needed to be defined. So we called it as a channel. And in channel, we have, as you can clearly see, we have defined the channel as B2B and strategic tie-ups. Along with that, we mentioned, what would be our cost structure in terms of what are the major cost component in our business. What would be the target milestones in the first year? Where would we like to see ourselves in 1 year time frame? This is apart from the overall numbers that we are projecting here. So here in terms of target milestone, we try to define where would we be at a given amount of time period, and that would make us believe that yes, we have been able to reach a milestone and it's time for us to go next. Similarly, we have created a small section for the co-founders, giving a brief highlight on in terms of what's the background, what they have done, and what's their name, etc. and all that, along with their coordinates. We had been looking for a certain amount of money and we specified that in one line so that any investor who is reading this knows that what kind of ticket size he is talking about. So there are people who might want to come up with, let's say, very small amount of money and all, or who may not be very keen on an equity investment and all. We made it very clear that this is an early stage business and needs an early stage investment of roughly around this kind of a money. Any questions on this canvas?
No, sir.
Any pointers?
Sir, I appreciate the business value canvas that you have prepared. It is very interesting, and then you can closely watch every day whether any fine tuning is required, particularly with regard to value proposition, something like fill, then shut and start, something like that as a value proposition.
Yeah.
And also our mission statement and what will be our mission statement, and different channels, whether we could go in for a digital channel or what type of a channel, whether there is a supply chain management which is cost effective. So these things will certainly help the C-suite employees so that they could, in a boardroom, they could discuss on various issues, and the product will be more cost effective and compared to our competitors. Nicely done canvas. One snapshot will help us to give every C-suite employees can keep in their chamber so that they could watch every day and then see what exactly they can improve. I also feel design thinking concept can be introduced for this, the canvas that you have prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much for the nice canvas that you have presented for your officer. Thank you.
So thanks a lot. I appreciate that. But I'll just like to point out one particular something that I just noticed while you were speaking. So there's a difference. So what you are mentioning is likely to be a dashboard. So this is not a dashboard actually. A dashboard is something that is presented to a C-suite executive for them to quickly have a glance on how a business is performing. Canvas is more like, it's like a clean slate. You are putting through your thoughts, and on the basis of those thoughts, you are basically extrapolating how will that thought lead to a business? What are you likely to do with that? What do you think are the numbers that you would reach with that? So this is unlike a dashboard. This is not, this is unlike a dashboard. A dashboard is something in which you have key matrices and all, and you keep a close look at it to ensure that they meet the trend, they meet the numbers that you have benchmarked for yourself or the targets that you have set for yourself. However, Canvas is more imaginative, more, still at a certain feet above the ground. However, you need to clearly define that this is the approach you are adopting for your business. This is primarily to give a very high level view to anybody who is wanting to know about your business and about what you are looking to do, etc. and all that. It may not really contain, specific elements at this level, at this stage, because more often than not, anybody who is interested in Canvas will have to have a next level conversation. It could be a supplier, it could be a buyer, it could be an investor, it could also be a banker. So in general, an interest in Canvas or interest in your business leads to another round of discussion in which probably you get a little deeper looking at whom are you interacting with, and based on that you start sharing certain key matrices and all, and probably at that stage a dashboard comes into picture.
Right, sir. Understood, sir. Thank you.
Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Certainly understood.
So we have a dashboard status we use internally between the founders for this company, and they basically contain the kind of sales, the kind of numbers, the expenses that we are incurring, the monthly profit and loss or the weekly profit and loss, the fill rates, etc. and all that. We also cover many of these things. We also cover many of these aspects in our in our larger presentation when we get into a next level discussion with anybody interested in our business, depending on the audience.
Sir, if it is possible, can you share that canvas that you have designed, sir, so that it will be helpful for students to refer?
share means you want a copy of it, is it?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Copy. In this chat box also you can share, sir, or else you can mail also.
I'll mail it to Vanita. You can share it.
Okay. Fine, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
There have been multiple such canvas that I have prepared. I'll pick up one of it and send it across. So each business has a different, a way of functioning, right? So you may need to tweak it a little bit to create a right fitment. For example, if it is a retail business, we don't need to write channels there because in general, the channel itself, the business itself is a channel, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Correct, sir. We ourselves will be the one of the channels there.
Yeah. However, in the business that I just presented here, it's more of a tech platform. It's more of a, on the ground come tech platform kind of a business, wherein what method that we adopt in terms of going and getting sales becomes very relevant and important. So I'm happy to take any. I don't really want to, push you guys too much with too much of a literature and all that. This much of information to my understanding is enough. In case you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them specific point to point.
Sir, again, this is Tyagarajan. I'm sorry, I'm troubling you.
No, not at all. Please go ahead.
Are you changing this canvas frequently or often, or when is the duration? Is it susceptible for changes or?
Yes. There are no, in business, there is nothing called a set template. Every business will have its own templates, right? Now, what happens is that when you start interacting with people and sharing a copy of your canvas with them, they generally come back with a few questions. At some point of time, if you realize that a few questions are repetitive, it's best that you address the same in the canvas itself. For example, in my business, if somebody says, whom is it meant for? For example, so I say that it is meant for blue collar workers. So my canvas, I'll just show it to you again. You are on the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
So see, on my canvas itself, I have clearly mentioned for blue collar migrants. So ideally, in some business models, you don't really need to specify your customer because it could be largely for everyone, largely for all the set of customers. But if there are questions which are repeatedly coming and it's not very clear, then probably it's best that you address it. And hence, to that extent, the template goes for a change.
Sure.
Similarly, if you see here that in terms of numbers, we have a monthly subscriptions, etc. and all that. It may not be true for everybody else. So for somebody else, for some other business, for let's say if it is manufacturing, in case of manufacturing, you will go with a capacity utilization because in manufacturing, capacity utilization is a key matrix, is a key number that people look to understand how would you scale up and all, isn't it? Correct. The number of lines that you will deploy over a period of time.
Correct.
So as I said, so for every business, it would need to be tweaked a little bit. Number one. Number two, based on the frequency and the kind of queries that you are getting, probably you would like to address that, revise the version of the canvas that you have circulated, revise it to include the answer to that query so that it is self-explanatory. But yeah, it is always good to have some amount of qualitative element left behind so that you need to generate enough interest that people should come back to you and raise some questions. We can't make it sufficiently, any which ways in one pager or two pager, you can't really make it, very elaborate, but you have to make sure that it gives that much of information that if somebody is really interested, he comes back and checks with you, and that allows you to have a conversation with that person. This is especially true in companies in startup environment. In larger companies, there are plenty of networks, so you don't really have to, break your bones, break your back for getting an appointment. But in a startup environment, everybody every lead or every discussion is a well-earned discussion. So you would rather want to have an opportunity to have that discussion.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So one second. I would also show you one document which we use currently. So this was a document when we created it. We were just evolving. We had just started off. Just give me a second. I'll show you another document which we use now to describe as again as a one pager. So this is the one pager that we use now. This is not like a canvas, but this is the evolved version of what we used to present as a canvas earlier on. So here, if you see, we have defined yet again what's the tech scope that we are creating, where we are, what's the business strategy, what's the market opportunity, who the founders are, and our partnerships. Is it clear?
Sure, clear.
So this exactly is not a canvas, but we don't need a canvas at this stage now. So we have evolved into a document which kind of gives a glimpse of where we are, what's the next step for us. Yes, guys, any questions?
It also helps us to show the industry gap or the market gap that presently your product has in the market.
So that we have showed in the canvas, no, the market landscape.
I know. You will get that gap so that you could fill that gap. And
so what we do is that in our larger presentation, we do that. So what happens is that since we are already a funded startup, so generally the interest that we get are of those who have an interest in our segment already. So some amount of research they have already done by themselves and hence their interest.
Sir.
So what you are saying is can definitely be incorporated. But yeah, this is the approach that we have adopted.
Correct, correct. It varies from company to company and then it depends on the...
So it varies from company to company, situation to situation and business to business.
Sector to sector. Correct.
Yeah. And who your audience is, that also is relevant. So I have similar one pages for different setups. So there is a one pager for, let's say, government setups also, wherein we highlight what we bring to the table while working in partnership with the government. So that's all that I have to share. Hello, friends.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's all that I have to share. If anybody has a question, I am happy to answer. Otherwise, we can wrap it up quickly.
Sir, could you throw some light on your patent rights and branding and other things, sir, if is not a information not to be shared? Otherwise, you have any particular branding that you have done for your product and for your company? Is there any patent rights that you have applied already, or is it copyrights that you have
fall
taken?
into a patent right because we don't have an IP in this. There is no intellectual property that we are creating. So we don't qualify to file for a patent. And branding for us is a normal branding, as you saw our logo and the kind of logo that we use. We put it across all the buildings or accommodation that we manage.
Sure.
and that is in sync through our all our handles in social media or all our corporate engagements, etc.
This yours is a software company, sir.
It is not. It is more like so far it has been a brick and mortar company. It is evolving into a technology company now. It is evolving into a marketplace now.
No, what is your major product in your total marketing mix?
So as I said, no, ours is a platform that works for blue collar worker. So there are multiple products. There is not one thing that I can, iron out and tell you about. So we provide accommodation, we provide food, we provide jobs. So there will be jobs which will be listed on our platform. There will be gig opportunities. There will be insurance products. There will be financial inclusion. Multiple things are there.
Okay.
So many of these things are yet to come. We are still at a start. We are still at, we are not a very large setup.
Correct.
We are a very young setup still. So many of these things are likely to come. So as we move mostly into digital products, we will keep evolving into a digital company then. As of now, it's largely accommodation, and accommodation, as you know, people can't live digitally. People can't eat digitally. You can market digitally. You can make payment digitally. That's fine. But can you live digitally? Can you stay in a house digitally? No, you need a physical infrastructure. So till the time we are on the accommodation and the food, we will continue to be a brick and mortar. But as our other products and services start taking precedence, we will move to be a digital company.
True.
It's a little complicated business because not too many parallels in the country around.
I know what what you can do is you can prepare canvas for other startups and tell them that how it will be useful as a tool for them to use it in their company which they are floating, so that they will become more effective and there will be an impact on the product.
Sorry, I didn't get you. What should I do?
What I thought was the canvas can be prepared for, say, I want to become a startup. And you can give me a business canvas, because I don't know how to prepare a business canvas, because I'm not in that line. So that you could prepare and explain like how we have done now, so that that a startup entrepreneur can use it in his business.
I have a different take on this, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Ideally, if if it is your business, it is your baby, you should know how to take it forward. So, if you do not know, what you can do is you can look at a few templates, understand what generally is the requirement, what's the way one should look at, end of the day, if you look at 3-4 canvases, 3-4 business models, you'll get a sense of what are the items, what are the things that are required, isn't it? So based on that, you should do your own research, you should do your own hustling to arrive at what's the best fit for you.
Sure.
No, I think that's the best way, rather than following a certain method or a template or taking somebody's help. You can take an help on understanding what are the key things.
Exactly.
But ideally, you should hustle it yourself to be able to create a canvas on your own.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we had a nice interaction, sir. Thank you very much from my side.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, everyone. See you. Thank you, Vanita.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.